All right, we're here with Mark DeRosa. D-Ro, been looking forward to this one for a long time. Actually.
I've been looking forward to this.
I've been chasing you down for a bit because big MLB Network guy. What are we plugging here? Just the MLB Network postseason coverage?
Yeah.
I mean,
MLB
like, I don't feel like you
Central.
even need to like plug that because, like, if you're not watching MLB Network, you're not really a baseball fan. Like, what else are you watching? Are you watching Dallas? Like, no, you're not. You're not. You're not. Well, shout out to the A's. They got eliminated last night.
Yeah.
Did you? Who were your picks for the wild card games?
I picked them both right. I was sweating out. I just thought Milwaukee came in a little too dinged up, and to expect. Listen, Craig Counsell had the perfect script written out, but I think it's hard to be able to make sure everyone's going to be perfect. We were just talking about Pomerantz.
Yeah.
Before we came on the air, and it's like
Good guy, by the way.
Yeah, he was perfect, but then Hader let you down in that situation. It's tough when you're rolling out a script like that everyone's going to be on point. And on the flip side, Strasburg showed up in a big way.
Yeah. Speaking of Strasburg, so we recorded the podcast this morning, and I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are on this. So if you look at some of these matchups, Braves, Cards, you have, I think, like the Twins, Yankees. I voted for Twins, Yankees. Which underdog team do you think has the best chance to upset their opponent?
Yeah, I would say the Washington Nationals.
So like that series is going to be bonkers.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I was a betting man, I'd put my money on the Dodgers, but I just think that was such a. Again, like I played there in 2012 when we lost that Game 5 against St. Louis and didn't have Stras pitch that entire postseason. That was a tough pill to swallow. And then that's kind of been like the narrative for the Nats. Can't win a postseason series, missing something in the clubhouse, character-wise or what have you. And for them to have that like comeback, regardless, I mean, guy gets hit, broken bat knock. I mean, it kind of came together pretty ugly.
Died a hero.
But exactly. But they were able to kind of unleash that burden. And then Pat Corbin's, he's filth.
Yeah. Imagine having that be like your number 3 guy.
Crazy.
I mean, game 1
Frankie's
starter, but it's
got
like,
that.
Walker Buehler, game 1. That's really where you're looking at 2 teams that could pick names out of a hat, and it really doesn't matter.
You know, it's funny for me when that's the biggest things I kind of look at, like the pitching breakdowns, why certain teams send out certain guys. You would think you go with your best in game 1 and then kind of follow suit. We're seeing a little bit different kind of method. We're seeing Keuchel go today.
Right.
We're gonna
like
see
Soroka in game 3.
Yeah, Walker Buehler goes game 1, and then you're going to follow it with 3 back-to-back lefties, even though they're a little different. So that's always the stuff I used to like focus on. All right, postseason, I'm playing in this series. Well, I'm going 0 for 3 with a walk in game 1. I got a shot in game 2.
Yeah.
Like that's how I would kind of look at it.
Like if you were kind of breaking down like a rotation, like look, for the Braves rotation, for example, it seems like they're weighing like the home road splits pretty heavily there. How much would you pay attention to stuff like that? Or you just like, here's my best, you're my game 1 starter. Like what type of numbers, what type of situation
I always feel like when something screwy goes on like this, I always feel like we don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
Like, does Mike Soroka not like the mound in Atlanta? Do they have to adjust something there? Is there something we don't know about that Mike Foltynewicz has created a new pitch and has just been unhittable since he's come back? Because in the short series, whoever goes game 2 is going game 5. So that usually your game 2 guy is
pretty important.
Yeah, the guy with your life on the line that you're willing to hand the ball to. And Folty was sent down in the minor leagues in June. So I think this is it's an interesting series. And everyone's kind of overlooking the St. Louis Cardinals just because the Braves have been that like sexy young team that's kind of burst on the scene. The Cardinals haven't hit all year, so they've kind of been that just like steady funk that has kind of figured out a way to manage the NL Central.
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals are been very disrespected because I feel like everyone just wants the Braves. Like you want to see the Stars, you want to see Acuna there, you want to see Soroka on the big stage too. I don't know. I feel like if you're looking at that series objectively, I feel like the Cardinals probably do have the best chance to upset.
You really? Yeah. No, I would say that's
because I also said the Twins too, just because like the pitching factor. You stack the. I think with Twins Yankees, there's way too much of the historical significance being placed on that. Whereas was it 10 straight that they've lost in the postseason, dating back to like 2004. I feel like that they're just completely different teams. Like throw all that out of it.
I agree.
Which you obviously like the Yankees bullpen. The rotations are you want Paxton, you want Severino as your Game 3 starter.
Yeah.
Those lineups are like a wash. It's just like the Yankees name, like the Yankees names carry more weight, but lineup wise, like who do you like there?
I just look at it like we're searching for ways to figure out how the Twins are gonna manage and beat the Yankees. We're searching. We're trying to figure out, is Paxton gonna have it? Is Severino gonna have to be piggybacked by Chad Green? Is Tanaka going to be able to keep everything below the knee? Where on the flip side, I look at it as like, how is Jake Odorizzi going to get through the Yankees lineup?
Yes.
How is Jose Barrios, a guy who has he's shown moments of brilliance, but his strikeout numbers have just gone significantly down. And everyone talks about, we got to string together knocks. In October, no one's stringing anything together.
Right.
You got to hit it. We watched it, 13 runs in 2 wild card games, 7 homers.
Yep.
I mean, you got to have guys who can run into some stuff. There's just too much noise coming at you.
Yeah.
It's so different than when I played. It was like we used to watch video. Jared, I didn't even know the names of the guys in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Serious. We'd watch the starter and break them down. Now it's like he's maybe going through the lineup one time, and then
you got to
Tampa
prepare
Bay
for 8
was
guys.
throwing a Swiss Army knife of dudes I never heard of.
Yeah.
99 plus with
exploding
movement. Stuff like you throwing wiffle balls to Bregman.
That was a tough look for him. I mean, do you think that I deserve credit for his near MVP season? Because I feel like that's kind of what launched it.
I'm not gonna lie, the fact that he got to one
is incredible.
It's incredible.
Like, I'm explaining this to people that have never actually been in the box against like 99 plus, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a wiffle ball." It's coming, like the perceived velocity is 119 miles an hour.
The bat is so
and he squared it up.
He squared it up.
He was almost early on it.
He's my I mean, I love a lot of guys watching him play, but like if I had to pick one guy to start a team with right now, and Mike Trout's off the board,
right?
I want Breggs.
Yes,
all of it.
He's all around.
I love everything.
The attitude, defense, offense, marketable. He wants to win. He wants to be with and he's petty. He's a petty guy.
Is he?
Yeah. Doesn't he wear number 2 because he was the number 2 pick? He's like, I should have been a 1-1.
Hey, everyone has to have a chip on their shoulder.
Absolutely.
You got a chip on your shoulder that keeps you grinding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Bregman, I mean, he's a hell of a guy. And we started out as rivals, then we became friends. We were opponents for a quick second, but I mean, that's a hell of a season for him. Do you give the Rays any chance at winning a game? Never mind the series. Do you give him a chance at winning a game?
chance at winning a game.
Okay.
I do. I just look at like, can they survive? Can Glasnow? I think Glasnow
he's so dirty.
Is right under Cole. Garrett Cole, just stuff.
Yeah.
Dirty stuff.
Before he got hurt, I mean, he was unhittable.
But Verlander's going to give you that for 7.
Mm-hmm. So they cancel out. Then it comes down to the bullpens.
Cole's going to give you that for 7. Mm-hmm. Greinke's going to go 7. Like, these guys are going to lean on you. Where it's like Glasnow, I mean, Snell threw 2 innings back to back. What are you getting from him? Can he give me depth, and then we're going to have to figure out a way to manipulate the pen? Kevin Cash is going to get creative. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they win a game.
Yeah,
that's it.
They win a game. Do you know which game?
I'm not giving him. You know what? I'll give him Morton game 3 in the Trop against Greinke.
Okay, I like that. I mean, Morton going 5. Yeah, Morton going 5 shut. I think
he'll be better.
That's so rare though, especially with Kevin Cash as your manager. Like 5 innings. Like, because I mean, what is he like? 94, 96 pitches, something like that. Like, if you were a skipper, do you buy into that? We're not letting our starter see a lineup for the 3rd time.
No.
It's feel.
The numbers, I'm a big, 50-50. Give me every number that you got, because that's the way I played the game. I came up with game plans before I went to the plate. I wasn't a guy who could see ball, hit ball. I wasn't talented enough to do that, so I was an educated guesser in pretty much everything. But there also has to be some feel and some – I mean, I can remember standing at second base, and when you start to play, you get a sixth sense with the way a guy leads off first base. He's going.
Right.
Let me cheat 1 or 2 steps. I think you got to have that feel involved. If a guy's not throwing stress pitches, like for instance, I might have let Pomerantz go out in the 8th.
Me too. I felt the same way.
I get it. You want to get Hader in there as much as possible, but it just seemed like that was domination.
He was cruising. Yeah.
It's like, why not steal some more outs that way? So, no, unless the numbers are just totally ridiculous, which a guy like Paxton actually gets better the more he sees somebody.
Well, I mean, his first innings have been a disaster this year.
And Tanaka is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He's going to see the lineup once and be
right.
gone.
Right. What do you expect from Severino? Because, I mean, he was
he's a wild card for me. To expect him to be great, I think, is unfair. I think Chad Green will be ready to go.
Yep.
That's the way I feel about that. I mean, anything we get from him is gravy. I think Domingo Germán really taxed
screwed him
him
big time.
You might see Hap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so how much do you – because I know I hate it when you have to, like, give a prediction. How much do you hate being
I think it's the
like,
worst because there's – I mean –
all you can do is look at the numbers and give a educated guess.
That's all you can do.
And if you're right, it's like, yeah, well, of course. I mean, like, whatever. And then if you're wrong, then you're an idiot.
And then I feel like at the beginning of the year, you don't want to go Red Sox, Dodgers, or Houston Dodgers.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
feel like, what's the point?
Right.
I took the Rockies this year, and they absolutely
Yeah.
choked.
Yeah.
All right. So I looked like a fool, but I tried to step out on a limb. Yeah.
Like some teams you can give a prediction at the beginning of the season. Like Astros, they're going to be there.
They're going to be there.
But like other teams, it's just, how am I supposed to know? The team that you're seeing now in spring could be completely different by August 1st.
And that's the thing. Last night, Yandy Diaz steps up in the first inning and hits a bomb, and that game, it just felt like he took the air out of 54,000 people.
Right.
If the Braves sweep the Cardinals, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
If the Cardinals win in 5 games, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
So I think that for me is the toughest thing, the predictions part of it.
What do you think Yandy Diaz benches?
He's got to get north of like 375.
At least
3 plates.
for reps.
That's 3 plates.
Yeah. No, he's doing 3 plays for reps.
All the Cuban guys.
They're huge.
They're built like Greek gods.
Yeah.
Soler, Moncada.
Moncada, I remember he was doing like some
Cespedes.
hammer curl videos when he first signed.
Moncada's his
Yeah.
side.
He's like hammering like
How do you
100
feel
dumbbells.
about that trade? You still okay with
Yeah.
it? Yeah, you got your World Series.
Like Moncada could be a Hall of Famer and it's still justified.
Really?
Yeah. You win 1 ring, it's worth it.
Is Kopech going to be the dude?
See, here's my thing on Kopech, right? If you study him on social media, it's like, I got concerns. I got
where you're
concerns.
going.
If you're like Mr., I remember he did like an Instagram live one time, and people were chirping him on there, and he was getting all butthurt about it. I was like,
If you're getting butthurt on Instagram
Yeah,
Live, how
you
you going to
can't.
pitch on the big
Right.
stages? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
yeah.
But I watch kind of, and not to knock David Price because I absolutely
He's
love
the
him.
same
He
way.
let that Dennis Eckersley
Oh.
thing hang over his head to
Yes.
the point where it became an issue again this year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And the Yankee thing was in his head for sure.
does it get in your head? I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I go to it, it's like commercial bang
Yeah.
Twitter, commercial bang Twitter, looking at stuff.
Yeah.
And I get frustrated. People like, oh, you don't say anything about our team or this, that, and the other thing. It bugs me.
So I think where you and I differ is you are an analyst.
You go back.
I go back and forth, and I treat it like the WWE. Like, I'm a professional wrestler. Like, I'm going to cut a promo on you. I'm going to say things that maybe I don't entirely believe, but I'm going to say it because I know it's going to get a rise out of you.
Yeah.
Did it last night with the Rays. I love watching the Rays. Call them boring. Boring-ass team. Get off my stage. Get off my TV. But I know that it's going to upset Rays fans. I know that the Rays Twitter account's going to get involved. And their response to me, that was probably their most engaging tweet that they've sent out this year.
Yeah.
You gotta ruffle the right
They give
feathers.
me a headache. Kevin Cash has got to have a deal with like Advil or Excedrin
Mm-hmm.
or something because he is totally having to go out to the mound like 19 times a game, which
Yeah.
is unbelievable. Different lineups. I rode them hard last year when they traded Longo.
Yeah.
And even though Longo was like it was starting to deteriorate a little bit, I felt like, what do you stand for as an organization? Like if you're going to put one guy's name in the rafters, it's probably going to be Longo, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you trade him to Giants for dudes we never heard of.
Right.
So I'm like, what do you stand for? So then someone tweeted at me like, they stand for resetting and winning and getting back. So
the Patriots approach.
Hey, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, they'll just cut ties with you, and if it's for the bet, I mean, and the proof is in the pudding. They're in it every year. Even if they don't make it to the postseason, they're there.
With a $60 million payroll.
Yeah, I mean, you take 3 Red Sox starters, combine that, and it's still like $20 million more than what the entire Rays roster is getting. It's crazy. I want to switch it up real quick. I want to ask you this question because it didn't really upset me too much, but I saw some people tweeting about it. The national celebration. So they had the family out on the field, and I think that's really the biggest thing for me that was different. For a team that has never celebrated, and it's not a series, it's just like advancing in the postseason for the first time. And there were a lot of people that were like, well, they're celebrating like they just won the World Series.
That's
like,
fair.
I've never seen the family out on the field for anything other than the World Series.
I've never paid. I honestly didn't even pay attention to it. When we won the division, I remember because I was there in 2012. Family were out on the field.
Were they?
Yeah, for when we won the NL East. Yeah, it's a little much.
Yeah. So here's what I don't like. I don't like.
I'm not a big fan of the whole family thing to begin with.
Yeah.
I love my family. Don't get me wrong. But that is my job. So it's
Right.
like I always was like I always felt better on the road.
Yeah.
Like if my wife came by herself on the road with my dad, I was like, cool. But when you're having to appease 30 people, I'll never forget this. In Game 2 of the 2007 or 8 postseason, I let one go right through my legs. Like, big spot. Carlos Zambrano on the mound, bearing me down like, you son of a gun. And I'm like, I know. He'll kill you.
Yeah. Legitimately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a bull. So it went through my legs, and I was just sitting there, and I wasn't so concerned that we couldn't get back in the game. I was like, man, now I got to go to the family room. There's 30 of my relatives there. Like, I'm not going to be able to eat. I'm going to have to answer questions. Then I'm going to have to get back to a packed house and answer questions.
Right.
So family becomes a problem as the season
Family's
progresses.
always a problem, D-Ro. They're always a problem. I mean, like, my mom's probably going to be listening to this and be like, Jared, what do you mean by that? But the celebrating for the wild card, that I don't like.
I don't like it.
If you win the game, pop bottles. If you get into the game, you're playing for a chance. Like, I still look at.
That's fair.
Yeah,
but
you're
you got to
playing for a
celebrate
chance.
something. Did you like when St. Louis did the little champagne toast?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fair.
But if you're popping bottles, like, no, none of that. Because now it's like, so Tampa is going to have 2 champagne celebrations, and the Astros are just like sitting there. They've only had one. What sense does that make?
So what would you do if you're managing a team and the guys come to you and say, hey, if we win the wild card game or if we win the game to get into the wild card, we want to let it eat?
No. No, you have to win the wild card game.
I like that.
Yeah. Like, if you get into it, it's like, all right, boys, like, we have a chance to play in a series. Like, right now, this is just do or die.
I feel like guys think if we don't celebrate something.
Champagne toast, that's fine. You want to pass around a
And we get
glass,
knocked
you want to
out.
say a little something to rally up the boys, let's do that. But if you're popping bottles and soaking the clubhouse, it's like, what are you really celebrating? You're celebrating a chance to play in the division series.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's 100% fair because I just think guys look at it like, man, if we don't celebrate now, we walk into the division series and get swept. We didn't even get a chance.
Yeah,
to
no, celebrate
honor a
winning the
seed.
wild card game
Yeah.
for sure. Celebrate winning that game because now, like,
There
you're
was
in.
a time, Jared, I came up with the Braves. There was a time that through that 14 division title stretch where winning the NL East was a toast.
Yeah.
It got to the point where it's like eyes on a bigger prize.
Yeah, here we are, back again.
But we never
ain't
got that
95
bigger
anymore.
prize, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we should have celebrated a little bit more.
Well,
should've popped bottles.
so here's another question. You have 3 former teams that are in the postseason right now. Which one do you think has the best chance of winning the World Series?
So we got the Braves, we got the Cardinals, and we got the Nats.
Yep.
I think for me, like everyone wants to fall in love with the Nationals, and I get that. The 3 starters. The Braves, to me, have the best chance. For over 2 years now, they've been better than the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
The Nationals came down to SunTrust at the end of September with a chance to make them sweat, and Braves pounded them.
Yeah.
I think they have the best chance. I'm a little concerned that their pitching might be a little thin. Asking rookies to step up and do a lot, but you know as well as I do, in October, it's like that's the time where guys step up. Like Steve Pearce and Nate Eovaldi turned into like godlike last year, and you need that to go down. I mean, Mookie Betts struggled for most of the World Series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
JD like tweaked his ankle. I remember him taking fly balls in right field to see if he could go. So it's never the guys you think.
Right.
It's always sometimes a Steve. I mean, God, Steve Pearce won World Series MVP.
Guy can literally, to this day, still walk down the street and people don't really.
What was wrong with him this year? He didn't even post.
I don't know. Just
don't know?
Take a victory lap. It was the calf. He had like a calf injury that was like a season ender. And it's like, you know what? Your salary this year is just a bonus. Thanks.
It's a bonus. Thanks for winning.
Yeah.
I think the Red Sox get back quick. I think everybody panicking should calm down a little bit.
I don't panic so much as I kind of just like accept what it is. Like I'm fine with any alternative. Like if the Red Sox finish 3rd place next year again, I'm like, whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'd be trapped.
I'm not pissed because it's like 2018. Like I'm good for like 5 years.
You know what? And the truth is, when you look back on that run, they went through everybody. Walking, too. Like Dodger, boom, 5 games.
The Astros. That's why I almost hope the Astros win this year, because then it'll make 2018 even greater. Like, you won a dominant World Series in the middle of an Astros dynasty.
Yup. And it was like the coming out party for, even though he didn't have a huge series, Rafael Devers starting against Kershaw in Game 5 over Eduardo Nunez. I remember it being a big thing. Yeah. It was like, Cora was like, nah.
He broke Verlander's back, too, in Houston.
Yeah, he's ready.
Yeah.
And then shows up this year and goes nuts.
Yeah, no, it's well, so you mentioned Eovaldi and Pierce. Who do you think in this postseason stands the biggest chance to be a breakout star?
Ooh.
Like, what name are we not thinking about that by the end of it we're being like, well, that guy?
I picked the Astros and the Braves to get to the World Series. We pretty much know everybody on the Astros, right? Yeah. I think that's safe.
You know who I really want to have a moment in the sun? Josh Donaldson.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he's going to be able to handle it? I've known Josh. Dude, funny story.
I love Josh Donaldson.
Dude, I love Josh Donaldson. 2007, he gets drafted. I'm with the Cubs. First round pick, supplemental, whatever, out of Auburn. He comes to big league camp. He's the loudest guy in the room.
Of course.
Right? Amongst veteran stars. You got D. Lee, Soriano, Kerry Wood, all these big dogs.
Yeah.
And you could hear him all the time, right? In the morning. And I could just start to see some of the veterans kind of like, who is this kid and why is he talking so much? Mm-hmm. So during stretch, I went up to him. I was like, hey, dude, just a little hint, like, you rake. You can. I see it. Yeah. It's all there, but slow down. I know you've been dying to get here, but like, take your time.
Right.
Then a couple years later, he kind of gets traded for Rich Harden.
Yep.
I'm rehabbing in the PCL, and I dig in, and he's like, I've been waiting for you. He was catching for like Sacramento. I'm like, when are you going to get to the big leagues?
Right.
And next thing you know, MVP.
Yep.
Take off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy for him because people were ready to write him off. They were big time when he went to Cleveland last year and how things ended in Toronto. But that's a good call.
Yeah, he deserves it.
But he wouldn't sneak up on anybody.
I think he would. I think because people are because it's Atlanta. It's all Acuna over there.
Max Fried might be Cole Hamels this year.
Ooh,
that might be a nice call.
Okay,
we're too big on Atlanta though. I sound like a homer.
Yeah. Well, but they
Cubbies
deserve it.
Are out though. That's my second team.
Yeah. Where do you think Madden ends up?
Everyone says Anaheim, and it makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, his legacy there with Soch and kind of what that means, and I'm sure he would love to go out there. I'd like to see him get a little nastier. I mean, Gabe Kapler has not lost his job yet, and I don't know if he's going to. I mean, we watched Mickey Callaway, breaking news today, get fired, but I think Joe would be good in Philly.
Yeah.
Right?
He'd be perfect for that market.
He'd open up another restaurant on South Street.
Yeah. Build another
great
legacy
for Harper would love him.
Yeah.
He could pretty much go anywhere he wants, though. I think he's like the biggest free agent on the market.
For sure.
It's interesting. You got all these jobs. 7, 8 jobs are going to be available, and it's like you either want A or B. You want Buck Showalter or you want somebody who's never done it before. There's like no in between there.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. You know who's another guy that I think would make a great manager someday? D-Row.
I've heard the whispers.
Because, I mean, you look at these guys, right, where it's like a guy like Rocco Baldelli. So I love Rocco Baldelli. Yeah. Great guy. And you look at, the wins above replacement, but he stayed in the same spot for a while. Why is that? Because there's a value there. So I think when you look at a guy like Alex Cora, you know how many college home runs Alex Cora hit? 0. So I'm kind of looking at these guys where it's like, okay, you have clubhouse guys, character guys
that survived.
That are now the way that I've heard players talk about guys like Cora and Baldelli, it's almost like a player manager.
Yeah.
You remind me of a guy that's like you could go into a clubhouse and it's like, yeah, he's our manager, but I feel like he's on the he might not be playing today, but I feel like he's on the team.
I might sneak an AB off a lefty reliever.
That's what I'm saying. Like the player manager types is different from the X and O's guys. It's different from the the John Farrell types, where you're coming in there and it's like, I got to rule with an iron fist, and like I'm a father figure. It's like, no. He's like, I would much rather play for a guy that's one of the boys than a guy that's like, here comes the disciplinarian manager because we need to straighten up around here. It's like, no, that doesn't resonate with young talent today.
It's funny. I never in my every year that I played until the last year, I never sat on a bench because I was a utility guy the better part of my career. So I wrote a lot of hard pine, watching the way managers did things, talking to the pitchers. But I never sat there and like second guess my manager or like I'm dying to do this one day. And then towards the end of my career, I just saw the way the guys gravitated towards me, whether I was like a father figure to them or an older brother to them, especially with the Nats and the Blue Jays my last 2 years. It was like everyone came to me with a lot of stuff. Even though I wasn't playing, I felt like I was dealing with a lot of stuff. And then John Gibbons, my manager in Toronto, started like letting me sit by him and like really start to understand like why certain moves were made. And then I really kind of forgot about it, came here, started working, and then the whispers started when I got a call from Jeffrey Loria kind of out of the blue, the Marlins manager, Marlins owner, and he was like, hey, you want to come interview for the Marlins job? And I was just kind of smitten with the idea, so I went down, flew down to Miami, did the whole song and dance. It's pretty crazy. I got back on the plane and was like, I mean, I obviously don't think I'm ready for this, but my name's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there for a reason. So it's something I think about a lot. It would have to be perfect storm, but there's nothing like being in the fight with the boys.
Yeah.
There really isn't. And I would not come in rule with an iron fist. I would be more – I've always lived like the truth shall set you free, man. In the clubhouse – if you got that thin a skin where I can't tell you what I think of you and it's going to be a major problem, like you're not the guy for me. Like I want high character guys in there that are honest evaluators of themselves and understanding that in a team concept. And I think guys like Alex Cora,
right, and even Booney. Booney's been awesome for that
Booney,
group.
my brother said something to me. He's like, man, you have this weird ability to tell people the truth and not get punched in the face. And I said, I guess that's a compliment.
It's a great
right?
compliment, yeah.
But I always felt like,
well, because people know that it's coming from a good place.
Yeah, just tell the truth, man. If I stink, I stink that day. Bobby Cox started that with me because, you know, you always when you're sitting the bench as a young player, you're like, I should be playing over him, or I need him to twist an ankle, or I need him to do something. I need to get out there. And then finally, I went into Bobby and was like, hey, man, like, what's the deal? And he's like, I don't think you play every day. I think you're. And he went down the Rolodex of what he thought I couldn't do.
Sure.
And I showed up to spring the next year. He's like, all right, you're starting to get a little better. I still don't think you're an everyday guy. I know time's running out here. I'll do my best to get you in a good spot next year. I mean, he was just honest. I never drove home from the park at night going, I should be playing. I need to try harder. I'm going to take 800 backhands tomorrow. No, it's like, this is what he thinks of me. This is how I can help the team now. And I'll continue to try and work and get better. And I used it kind of like you talk about the chip on your shoulder. When I went to Texas and I started to learn how to hit, when we went back to Atlanta and I hit my first home run in Turner Field, I hit first base like, oof.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You didn't think I could play every day? You know? But but yet if I see Bobby on the street, it's hugs.
Sure.
So that's how I think it should be done. And if these guys, the millennial generation, can't handle that, then they can't handle it. Right. But I think they can.
So I'm assuming that like if there are a number of job openings, you're probably not jumping at the first opening that's like, we want to hire you. Like I feel like you would probably be a guy where it's like, I want to take on a group that I know I can handle. Like you're not going to jump into
Yeah. Because it comes off as
like you want to pick them.
I don't want to
like
say
not
arrogant,
the other way around.
Because that's not
I don't think it's
to
arrogant.
me.
I think you want to put yourself in a position to succeed. Like I don't think you want to set yourself up for failure.
I have a great gig. I love being here. I love the people I work with. I'm compensated very fairly. I get to see my kids. I say this, and people throw it out there. If my wife's in, I'm in.
Yeah, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, she grinded with me through the minor leagues, AAA, and then through the big leagues. And it's not easy. I have a 16-year-old daughter that wants to finish high school in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
She plays volleyball, and I can't rip her out of high school and ask her to enter her junior year somewhere else.
Sure.
I have a 9-year-old son who's invested in his little travel baseball team, so it's like I need to know they're 100% in before I could just go lose myself in some town.
Right.
Because that's what it needs. That's what it entails. You need to go all in.
Yeah.
I learned that lesson when I walked out of the interview room with the Mets when Mickey Callaway got the job. Talking to Sandy Alderson, I was just like, hey, anything I could do better the next time to kind of maybe – he's like, yeah, like go – you got to come all in. Like you're interviewing us as much as we're interviewing you. It can't always be like that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go get one of these. So I feel like I'm kind of in a weird kind of limbo. I want it, but I want it on my terms.
Yep.
With my wife
happy
and in the city I want with a chance to win.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares?
Yeah,
That's what I want.
Yeah. It's about you.
It is about hey, it is.
Yeah. Do you,
I'm
DeRosa?
going to grind through some rebuild?
No. Who wants to do that? A rebuild?
Dallas wants to do that.
I mean, Dallas's life is a rebuild. Like he's been in a rebuild since like 2001, I feel like.
Hey, he's awesome.
He's great. He's great. So you hit 100 on the dot.
On the dot.
Homers. Do you have a favorite?
My first one was a walk-off.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Who's it off of?
Graham Lloyd.
Shout out Graham Lloyd.
Shout out to Graham Lloyd, the Australian monster, left-handed. That was a pretty cool one. My 100th was in the Rogers Center off Keuchel.
Okay.
Pre-beard.
Yep.
He was just generic Dallas Keuchel,
Yeah.
so I didn't give him any credit. Now,
That's a petty guy too.
If I faced him, I love him.
Yeah.
If
I mean, like, you know, you shove against Philly, and it's like, dude, you didn't even show up to my workout. Like, let him know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let him
That's
know.
right.
Right.
That's a good
Like, I would
point.
do the same thing. I would do the exact same thing. How do you feel? Because obviously you're like a big clubhouse guy. You know, you talked about it specifically in the latter years. How do you think that prepared you for this job?
I think I mean I think it's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you
Because you not only are you connecting with the
kinda
guys you're like talking with on a
played in every
day-to-day
division.
basis, but you're connecting with the audience. Like I'm not blowing smoke. Like you're my favorite guy at MLB Network
Thank
because
you.
like you
I
connect with
appreciate
the
that.
audience, and it's like, all right, like he could. Yes, he's 16 years in the bigs.
14, 16 seasons if you want to give me a run. but
16
it's-
years in the
it's
bigs.
14.
16 years in the bigs. 7 different teams. So it's like, yeah, he has dirt on his spikes.
Yeah.
But when you're watching him, it's like that's a dude that I could just be like chilling with in the bleachers, like watching the game.
That's how I tried to be, and I kind of touched every division. Like I did the 2 years in San Francisco. I got a feel for West Coast baseball. I got traded to Cleveland, got traded to St. Louis, saw Middle America with the Cubbies, did the whole East Coast thing. So I've kind of gotten a feel for some Hall of Fame managers, the way they go about it, how their fan bases react. But at the end of the day, it's the building the relationships with the boys and being able to. If I'm going to do something crazy like or take a chance on a hitting demo, like I'm going to call. Like if I'm going to do something on Freddie Freeman, I'm going to shoot him a text and hopefully he texts me back. If he doesn't, I'm going for it anyway.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the guys are good because they know. And I said this. I knew the player I was.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to sit up here and act like I hit third in any lineup that I ever played in
Right.
is unfair.
Yeah.
So I got nothing but love for the guys who go out there and grind it out.
Does that ever hold you back from being like
Totally
super
honest.
critical about like a guy where it's like, oh, you know, this guy, like Freddie
For
Freeman, for
example.
example, it's like, you know, he's one of the best statistical players in baseball for X amount of years now.
For example, I remember being approached by a producer last year before David Price is starting the postseason.
Yep.
And their angle was how bad he's been in
Yep.
the postseason. And I said, but tonight he might shove, and then we're going to have him come up on the set, and he's – don't think these guys aren't watching.
Oh, it's on in every
It's
clubhouse.
on everywhere. So
Yeah.
that does – if an analyst wants to do that, a Ken Rosenthal, a Tom Verducci,
Yeah.
someone who hasn't had dirt in their spikes,
Sure.
go for it.
Yep.
But for me, that does me no good.
Yep.
To try and everything I do try and come from a positive place and an honest place. If you screw up, like Trent Grisham doesn't need to hear me
No.
break down outfield play.
Yeah.
He knows what he did wrong.
Yep.
And hopefully he gets
and he handled it really
redemption
well
for
too.
it.
You know, he's like, I've made errors before. I will make errors again. Like that was just one of them.
I try to be a little bit more critical of the manager.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like more so than the player.
Yeah.
Unless it's a bonehead mistake or having no feel. I learned a valuable lesson this year with the whole Tim Anderson thing because it frustrated me.
Yeah.
Like old school, like he's getting drilled. Has to happen,
Yep.
right? And as the season progressed, I was like, I kind of shouldn't have gone there because a couple other guys are bat flipping and getting aggressive with it, and they're not getting drilled. So
Sure.
it was like I went for the negative, and it kind of bit me. So I felt like I still would have drilled him.
Yeah.
Like I still would have went that route.
Sure.
But I would have drilled. There would have been situations where Nick Castellanos would have got drilled for slamming his bat down. There was other situations that were just as egregious, I guess, for lack of a better term, as Tim Anderson, and that thing kind of backfired for a second.
I don't even think that like there were some White Sox players that agreed with like how he sort of handled himself. I don't mind it. Like because I think if we're living in a digital world now, and what clips go viral, like because the NBA, like they don't care. You can rip a video, you can record it on your phone, you can tweet it. They don't care. Share our highlights. It's great. With the MLB, like there's only so many highlights that are going out, and the ones that do the best are like the
bat flips.
Yeah. I mean, like you can hit a ball 480 feet. That's awesome. Like the Yordan Alvarez homer, like that went super viral in Houston. But the ones that everyone, like, even if you don't like baseball, they're like, oh, okay, like we're doing this now. And like I understand it from like a player perspective, where you're a pitcher, you might not like that, but if you're a casual fan, you're trying to draw in the fan interest.
And that's what I deal with on day. Like Robert Flores, my host, he loved that.
Yeah.
He got annoyed at me. I just feel that everything's case by case. We're not all going to get to a situation with 750 dudes are going to agree on anything. So
and you also don't want to put on a show where just everyone's like hugging each other, holding hands, and agreeing on everything, and everything's awesome. That doesn't do a service to the audience.
And I never felt like it'd go the whole route of and I'm not trying to take this down a bad path, but like the whole "let the kids play" slogan. I never felt like a kid when I played. I was playing against grown men.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I got called up to the big leagues and I walked into the Astrodome, and you walk into the weight room, Ken Caminiti, Bagwell, Carl Everett, these are not kids.
Yeah.
These were like monsters.
Yeah.
That will hurt.
Oh, he was a monster. I got a Ken Caminiti bobblehead on my desk at home. Oh man, what a reminder of like how baseball has sort of changed. But do you, because we're in a juice ball era. I mean, the more home runs were hit. I mean, every day I feel like in September I'm looking up, Team X has broken the franchise single season record for home runs this year. Do you like that? Like, because I feel like
I'm kind of indifferent on it. I feel like it definitely skews the numbers because you're watching some balls go out of the park. I mean,
like
even
the
like
first
last
Yandy
night,
Diaz home run.
right?
Yeah, like that's a double in the gap. Come on.
Even like Avisel Garcia's shot off the Holy Toledo sign. Like those were balls where it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now they're just daily occurrences.
Yeah.
The ability to go opposite field. I don't dislike it. I just think it kind of it forces everyone. I mean, if you or I were playing, why would you ever want to work the ball to the opposite field, like for a knock?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it turns guys who weren't home run hitters that were table setters for other people into like thinking that they have free range to strike out.
For sure.
So I feel like the flow of the lineup kind of loses itself.
Yep.
But I don't hate it, and I will say this: if you really study the game and lock in on it, guys are throwing so much harder. It's just impossible for you not to turn it around and have it go farther.
That was like, everyone talks about the homers being up. We're maybe 10 years removed from when you could name every pitcher that could throw triple digits. Now you got these bum-ass teams throwing these guys out there that are throwing 101, 102. It's like, I've never even heard of this guy before. Like, if a guy like threw that type of fuel in the Myers, like, well, so-and-so's coming up. Like, wait until he gets here because he does this. Now it's like, I'm watching like a casual Saturday, day game, and it's like, I've never even heard of this guy. He just threw 102 with movement.
It's the truth. Because they know. I mean, my best friend in the world is Brian McCann, the catcher for the Braves, which is crazy because he's 8 years younger than me. But we hit it off, and we've stayed buddies. And he says, Dero, these guys come in, they know they are on a limited pitch count, so they just let it go.
Yeah.
Every pitch is max effort. And they very rarely miss over the heart of the plate because why take a chance of giving up that big 3-run bomb? Because I know someone's coming in 30 pitches.
Yep.
So the whole style of the game has kind of changed, and I just loved. I'm like you. I just have passion for the game. It was a sport. I played all three as a kid: football, baseball, basketball. It was the sport my dad was obsessed with, but it was always the sport I was never great at it. And still, even getting to the big leagues, it was always a constant work in progress. Like I never felt, even after I retired, like I ever had that moment. Like, what's it feel like to be Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah.
Like, just roll out of bed and throw out lasers nonstop.
Right.
Like, I never knew that.
Right.
So it was a constant grind.
I think from like the marketing perspective, or at least from like a fan interest perspective, when you have guys that can, like every bullpen has guys that can pump 98, like every lineup has at least one dude that's got 30 tanks. Yeah. Now it's kind of like, the NFL, you can sit down on a Sunday and you're going to watch whatever matchups on. Like, it's football. With baseball, it wasn't always like that. Like, I couldn't just sit down and watch like Rockies Cardinals. Because it's not like you have in the NFL, it's every team's got the same quarterback. Like, the quarterback, but starting pitcher is going to be different every day. Yeah. So it's different with baseball. But now I can watch two random teams because I know, like, wait until the 7th because, this lefty's coming out. Like, wait till you see what he's got in the tank. Yeah. Like, it's. I think it's better in that regard.
I agree with that. It's funny. The tearing down of teams, it's not necessarily the route fans want to see go, and it doesn't make for great TV. But when these teams start to figure it out, the Houston Astros of the world and the Cubbies of the world, the game has gotten so young that these guys burst into the big leagues with no hesitation. That's the thing for me that blows me away about the game. Like, the velocity's gone up, the homers have gone up, but I've watched 20-year-olds like Juan Soto. You see his at bat against Hader?
Yes.
He's grabbing his junk.
Yes.
He's doing the dirt. Like, 20 places about to come down. If he pops up, their season's over.
Right.
Like, I was getting turkey sandwiches and Reese's cups for Vinny Castilla when I first came to the big leagues.
Yeah.
That's the thing that blows my mind. There was maybe like one or two guys that burst on the scene that really helped the ball club put them over the top. And now you're seeing, like, we'll see it today. Acuna Albies will start it off for the Braves. Yeah. It's like boom, boom, $100 million contracts. Just young studs. Devers. I remember watching Devers with spring training 2 years ago. Was it Sarasota where the Orioles are?
Yeah.
And being like, he's got to lose weight. He's got to get in better shape. But the bat plays. And now he's hitting, it's not like 270 with 12 and let's see what he's got next year. It's 330 with 30 and $120.
And 50 doubles.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That they're able to handle the moment so quickly, which I don't get.
Yeah.
Oh, is it travel baseball? Is it? I don't get why kids are so untaken back by being in the show.
Yeah, they just come up and here's for a 20-year-old Juan Soto coming up, I think he had the most underrated 20-year-old season ever. He's got like a 980 something OPS, then he comes into the playoffs and he delivers the big hit in a big spot.
I can remember like and maybe that's just growing up here because I played in Venezuela. And the way they did it over there, man, when I played there in 99, I had like guys like Bobby Abreu and Alex Gonzalez and Omar Dahl, if you remember Omar Dahl, a lefty. But then sprinkled on the team is like 16 and 17-year-olds. So they're interacting with these guys. So when they come over here.
Completely unfazed.
Yeah, they're kind of completely unfazed, whereas I felt like when I got to just to walk into the Red Sox visiting locker room at Fenway was like.
It's a shoebox.
What the hell? I made it. Babe Ruth walked on this wood plank down to the field.
Yeah.
You come out. Now I got to actually play, and I got to face, like, whoever was in Schilling at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is heavy for a second.
It's big time. It's the show. I could do this all day, but you got to get home. The last question that we ask
All right.
all of our guests. By the way, this is not the only interview that we're going to do. We're going
All right.
We're going to have like a part like 2, 3, 4,
I can
and 5.
curse too, but I'm not going to go there.
See, like I feel like I wanted to.
Yeah.
But we're in like MLB Network studios right now, and I was like, I don't know who's listening right now. I was like, I'm gonna keep it clean on this one. We get you in the office in New York, then all bets are off. The last question we asked all of our guests: if you could go back in time to watch any moment in baseball history, live in person, you're there for it. You got a ticket. You can sit wherever you want. Which one are you picking?
Wow. Can I have some prior ansers?
A lot of people pick Jackie Robinson. A lot of people
I'm not in
pick
on that.
Hank Aaron breaking the record. A lot of people pick Babe Ruth breaking the record. Bonds.
Bonds would,
I'm trying to think like what was like the most like.
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
There's moments I would have liked to have been at. Like I would have liked to have been Cal Ripken's teammate when he broke Iron Horse's record and kind of see like that whole
3-1.
Yeah, see that whole build up, like the whole like 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock, how he was preparing for it. That would be a cool one for me.
Yeah.
I watched that on my couch in college.
Oh,
it's a pretty cool story.
So I'm a huge Cal Ripken Jr. fan.
Yeah,
that's my guy. That was my AIM screen name back in the day. It was C Ripken 2131X8. That's where I was hitting up all the honeys back in the day.
That's what you had. I know Arizona ended up winning the World Series, but after 9/11, when Tino Martinez and Scott Brocious, I would have liked to have been in the stadium that night.
The 01 World Series?
That was pretty crazy.
Do you believe in, like, they have, like, they had co-World Series MVPs that year with Schilling and RJ. Do you think we'll ever see, like, a co-MVP for a season?
I think that you could.
Because I think, like...
Don't get me. We'll keep going, because I don't think the MVP should go to the best player. Like...
How do you feel about that? So I think Yelich should win.
I think the Hank Aaron Award should be pumped up to be on par.
Yeah, best offensive player.
Best offensive player, Mike Trout, without question.
Yeah.
But a guy like...
Alex Bregman.
MVP.
I think like statistically, Mike Trout, best player in baseball.
Got it.
Like even like the Hank Aaron Award is just for offense. Like there needs to be a best player in the league.
Best player
award.
in the league. But Alex Bregman was the MVP.
Yeah.
All those guys getting nicked up, not having their best seasons.
And it got close. Statistically, it got close towards the end.
He hit north of 40. I texted him. I was like, 40's a big number. And he just texted back, let's blank and go.
I feel like that's all he texts. So, yeah, no, he's the best. But yeah, I got Yelich in the NL, and I can acknowledge that Trout was statistically better, but I mean, and I'm not even just like holding the fact because I don't agree with holding your teammates' performances against the guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
the
I
Angels
agree with
teammates.
that.
It's like,
it's not his fault.
But when Mike Trout wins the MVP, it's like he is head and shoulders above everyone else. He's the most valuable player. But when it's kind of close, and you have a guy like Bregman who had the season that he just had, and I would find it really difficult to
never let them falter. I mean, even a guy, and I know you're gonna hate this, but like DJ LeMahieu, I'm not saying he should win the MVP, but like all the injuries the Yankees sustained, he never wavered. They signed him late, 2 for 24. He didn't even start opening day.
Right.
Then he's carrying your offense, hitting in all spots. Those are the guys I feel like value for a team.
Yeah.
I'm going to think about that question a little bit more. I'm going to have a better answer than Tino Martinez going deep in game 5.
Next time we do this again, I want a better answer.
I
think I come up with a different question for like if you're a 2-time guest, if you're a 3-time guest. So Christian Yelich is our only 5-time guest.
Really?
And I on the spot made up for a 5-time guest. What's your go-to karaoke song? So save that for a 5-time.
All right.
Mark DeRosa.
I got the answer to that.
MLB Network. Check him out. I mean, MLB Network is really the only place to go for postseason coverage for all year. So, Twins at Yankees Friday, 7 p.m. Astros Rays on Monday.
I'm pulling I'm going 10 to noon Central. Then I'm going pregame and postgame. They're rolling out a Trundle bet. I'm sleeping here.
Oh, okay then. All right, so tune in for that.